let's talk about the Bonfire palette from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. I'm so excited to be showing you this one. It is a fall color story dream. I mean, just look at all these beautiful tones. We've got burgundy, dark forest green, bright orange, and cool tones as well. So surely it will get you into the fall mood. Now this palette does have 26mm magnetic pans. So these are not the smaller pans, and this formula is also the same as the most recent Grounded aka Tones of Turd palette. There's some topper sparkly shades and some more opaque smooth shades as well. And I will talk more about that during the detailed swatches of the shimmer shadows. And this palette is already available and it retails for $61 USD. And you can use my affiliate code, which I'll put up on the screen. And I did receive this palette in PR from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. So thank you so much for sending it over to me. So let's get into the detailed swatches of the shimmer shadows. I'm going to be showing you only a couple of comparisons. The most similar palette to this one kind of is the Grounded or Tones of Turd palette. So I'm going to show you that and I'll show you the two looks and I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video. First two shades are Kindling and Wildfire. Look at how metallic these are. They feel ultra nice, very smooth. And the orange definitely is a bit more opaque, while Kindling is more of an iridescent. It's got like a very light yellow gold reflect with a little bit of almost like a grayish purple base to it. And the orange has a lighter orange reflect, but definitely kind of like a medium orange base. Next two shades are Cinder and Embers. You can see a textural difference. Embers is like a super silky, smooth, kind of like a black base multi-chrome. So it's definitely more jeweled, darker, but I actually think it's a little bit more kind of similar to the Jewel Light multi-chromes from Clionadh, where you don't really see the black base in them. And Cinder's definitely super sparkly, but more of a topper shadow, but it has like a taupey base in it, and so you can have that one sheared out or layered on. And this is a beautiful olive tone gold that shifts to bright green. I see a little bit of a purple shift in this one, but it's pretty subtle. But these are so beautiful, and so far none of the shades feel squishy or emollient, which I love to see that. And the last two shades are Blaze and Smolder. Again, slightly different texture. So Smolder is definitely more sparkly, but both are very smooth. Blaze is more of like a smaller particle size, ever so slightly, and definitely very opaque. I feel like it's reading a lot more pink rather than red, and that is really built up, but it could just be, but yeah, I definitely see it as being a little bit more like a really bright pinky red. And then Smolder is that warm tone brown base with a blue and purple and green reflect and shift. It's definitely a bit more opaque in its base compared to some other shades, and it does shift to blue to purple. So for the first look, I definitely want to do a more fiery kind of look. So I'm going in with Inferno, and I'm just going to pop that into the crease. And I'm using a little bit more of like a flat top brush that is quite flimsy. So it basically just puts down the pigment a little bit softer, even though these are super pigmented. Definitely the same formula from the Grounded or Tones of Turd palette versus their most recent palettes before that with the smaller pans. I feel like that formula from those is much more buildable, while this one is really impactful right off the bat. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of Inferno underneath my lower lash line and just kind of blending it all the way around. And then picking up Bonfire, I'm gonna first put it on the outer corner, and then it's slowly kind of blended up into the crease, adding a little bit more. And just blending it into the orange. And of course, connecting to my lower lash line. Really picking up the tiniest bit because, as I mentioned, super pigmented. And I'm just going to work to kind of blend it a little better in here. And up into the orange. Oh my gosh, I love that. It definitely looks like flames. Picked up a Blaze on the Unearthly Cosmetics UC85 brush, and I'm gonna pop that right into the center of my lid and a little bit to the inner corner, but kind of on an angle. I'm going to add an inner corner highlight, of course, And ooh, I feel like the shade looks a little bit lighter once I'm actually applying it. I feel like it looks a little bit darker in the pan. And then I picked up Wildfire and I misted it with the Color Cosmetics Potion again. And this is the Color Cosmetics K24 brush. Nice and pointed. And I'm just gonna pop that right up onto the inner corner. And just adding a little bit more in here. And here's the finished look. For the second look, I'm going to do a little bit more of a smoky eye. So I'm going in with Smoke. And I'm just putting that onto the outer corner. So starting out with the darker shade on this eye versus going in with the lighter matte first. And I'm just really kind of smudging this onto my lid as I'm just working it out. Definitely going to go back in with a little bit more. Just really re-intensified on this outermost part of my lid. And then blend underneath. And then again, just kind of smudging it in with whatever is on the lid already, whatever product I have on there. And then I'm going to wipe off this brush real good. And I'm going to go in with Ashes. And I'm going to kind of put that right next to it. And again, I'm blending that inwards just a little bit. Putting on some Shine On Shimmer Shadow Enhancer from me and Clionadh's collab. And I'm just going to tap it out on the lid. Picked up Cinder, which this one's a little bit flaky. So definitely feel like this is more of a topper kind of shade. But of course, since I have Tacky Primer down, it's going to translate a little bit more opaque while still maintaining the twinkle quite a bit. I'm just going to keep layering it. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. It's like white and silvery at the same time. And basically that's just going all the way across my lid up into my crease. And here's the finished look. So as I mentioned, the mattes are more similar to the most recent Grounded and Tones of Turd palette. So they are a little bit more, they have a little bit more kick up, they feel a little bit looser pressed, and they are super, super pigmented right off the bat, which is a little bit different from their other mattes from the previous palettes with the smaller pans, which that one is definitely a little bit more buildable. I do prefer a buildable matte formula just a little bit more. I do think it's a little bit more user-friendly, but this formula is not bad by any means. I had no problems layering, putting it down. I just felt like I had to kind of really make sure to tap off any access and really go in with a little bit of a lighter hand, unless of course you are looking for that really immediate pigmentation right off the bat. The mattes performed great, and I really like the variation of the tones in here, especially along with the shimmers. I feel like this is a really easy, definitely more fall themed color story that is really intuitive. I feel like you can do some neutral looks, some more monochromatic looks. You can also do a warm tone look, you can do a green look, you can do an orange look. As for the shimmers, there are definitely a couple of different finishes and textures in here. So the shade, for example, is definitely a topper, but it doesn't feel like the toppers in the Timeless Tones palette, for example. This one feels a little bit thicker to the touch, so it's still very sparkly, but the formulation itself feels a little bit different. And then Embers and Blaze, on the other hand, are very, very smooth. They're definitely a smooth metallic, and neither of these are squishy, and they apply really, really easily with a brush. So I do appreciate the versatility of the shimmers and having some that are a little bit more opaque and some that are a little bit more sparkly. For the most part, these feel kind of like a more regular type of shimmer. They have a little bit of like thickness, of course, to them. They have to have some sort of binder to keep them kind of together, but they're not like overly squishy, so I'm not overly concerned about creasing. But I would definitely recommend doing your eyes before your base, because some of these are for sure a little bit more sparkly. You might get some fallout during application and then also throughout the day, especially if you have hooded lids. So let me know in the comments below what you think of this color story. Did you pick it up? Are you putting it on your wish list? I'm always so excited to see what Glaminatrix comes out with next, because they have been just doing such an amazing job with their palettes, and they have shot up into some of my most favorite brands, especially this year. And if you like this kind of content of swatches and tutorials, then you can check out some of my other videos that I will put up on the screen. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.